Imagine this for a second. You sit down to study. You open your notebook. You write a lot. Pages filled. Ink everywhere. And after all that hard work, you remember almost nothing. Congratulations. You just experienced modern note-taking. Now here's the scary question. What if the problem isn't your memory? What if it's your notes? Today, I want to show you a simple Japanese note-taking method that doesn't reward hard work. It rewards smart laziness. And yes, this method is used by Japanese students who seem calm, relaxed, and somehow still remember everything. No stress. No fancy apps. No writing until your hand feels like it needs therapy. Just paper, a pen, and a tiny mindset shift. Let's begin. First, let's talk about why most note-taking completely fails. Most people treat notes like a storage room. If I write everything down, my brain doesn't have to remember it. So they write full sentences, long explanations, definitions copied word for word like a human printer. Your notebook looks impressive. Your brain? Completely asleep. Because your brain has one rule. If it's written, I don't need to care. That's why you forget. Now, Japanese students approach notes very differently. They don't write notes to store information. They write notes to wake up their brain. This method is often called a summary-first thinking style, inspired by how Japanese students use notebooks in schools and universities. I'll explain it in the simplest way possible. The core rule of this Japanese method is this. You never write full information first. You write the summary first. Sounds backwards, right? Good. That's the point. Instead of writing everything you hear or read, you start with one simple question. If I had to explain this to a 10-year-old in one sentence, what would I say? That sentence becomes your note. Not the explanation, not the details, just the core idea. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're studying about photosynthesis. Normal note-taking looks like this. Photosynthesis is the process by which green plants use sunlight to synthesize foods from carbon dioxide and water. Boring. Long forgettable. Japanese-style note-taking would be, plants use sunlight to make food. That's it. Your brain immediately understands it. Then, and this part is very important, you leave space. Yes, empty space. Because Japanese notes love empty space. Here's the second rule. Details come later, not now. After writing the simple summary, you ask yourself, what supports this idea? Only then do you add one keyword, one small diagram, one short example. Not paragraphs, not essays. For photosynthesis, you might add sunlight, water, CO2, leaf drawing. That's it. Your notebook now looks simple, clean, and almost unfinished. And that's exactly why it works. Because unfinished notes force your brain to think. Now let's talk about why this beats hard work. Hard work says, write more, study longer, push harder. Japanese efficiency says, write less, think more. When you write less, your brain has to fill in the gaps. And filling gaps is how memory forms. Think of it like this. If I give you a full movie script, you'll forget it. If I give you just the trailer, your brain keeps replaying it. That's what these notes are, trailers for your brain. Let's go deeper with another example. Imagine you're watching a YouTube video about time management. Normal notes. Definition of time management. 7 tips. 3 studies. Quotes. Statistics. Japanese-style notes. Big title at the top. Time management equals energy management. Under it. Do hard tasks when energy is high. Rest is part of productivity. That's it. Later, when you review this note, your brain goes, oh yeah, that video talked about mornings, breaks, and burnout. You remember more from less. Magic? No. Psychology. Now let's talk about the notebook layout, because this part is sneaky but powerful. Japanese students often divide the page into 3 simple zones. Don't worry, this isn't complicated. Top of the page. One-line summary. Big and clear. Middle of the page. Keywords, small diagrams, arrows, symbols. Bottom of the page. One personal thought. Yes, a personal thought. This is huge. At the bottom, you write something like, this explains why I feel tired at night. I should try this tomorrow. This is why my last exam went bad. This connects information to your life. And your brain loves personal meaning. Here's a funny truth. Your brain does not care about exams. It does not care about grades. It does not care about your teacher. But it deeply cares about you. The moment notes become personal, memory skyrockets. That's why Japanese note-taking feels more like journaling than studying. Now let's talk about symbols. Japanese notes use a lot of symbols. Why write important when you can draw a star? Why write confusing when you can draw a question mark? Why write remember this when you can circle it in red? Symbols are faster than words. Your brain processes symbols instantly. Words take effort. Remember, the goal is not pretty notes. The goal is fast understanding. Now here's the most powerful part of this method. It's called rewrite once, not 10 times. Most people reread notes again and again. Japanese students rewrite notes just once. But not copying. They rewrite the summary. After studying a topic, they close the book and ask, what was the main idea? Then they write that from memory. If they can't, that means the note wasn't simple enough. So they simplify it again. This trains clarity. And clarity beats effort every single time. Let's apply this to something real. Imagine you're learning English vocabulary. Normal notes. Word, meaning, example, synonym, antonym. Japanese-style notes. Word at the top. One simple meaning in your own words. One example from your life. For example, exhausted equals very tired. I felt exhausted after walking in the sun. That's enough. Your brain remembers stories, not dictionaries. Now let's talk about humor. Yes, humor. Japanese students often add tiny funny notes. This is confusing dizzy face. Why does this exist? My brain left the chat here. Why? Because emotion strengthens memory. If you smile while studying, your brain pays attention. Studying doesn't have to feel like punishment. Here's another powerful trick. Japanese notes often include questions instead of answers. Instead of writing, habit is formed by repetition. They write, why do habits feel automatic? That question sticks in your mind. Your brain keeps trying to answer it, even when you're not studying. That's free learning. Now let's talk about review. This method is designed for fast review. Because notes are short, reviewing takes minutes, not hours. You don't reread. You scan. Big summaries. Clear symbols. Personal thoughts. Your brain reconstructs the lesson automatically. It feels like cheating. Let's address the biggest fear. But won't I miss information? Here's the truth. You're already missing information. You just don't realize it. Writing more does not mean remembering more. Understanding more means remembering more. This method forces understanding first. Here's a simple challenge for you. Tomorrow, try this with one topic. One page. One summary sentence. 5 keywords. One personal thought. That's it. No pressure. No perfection. Just clarity. And here's the mindset shift that makes this powerful. Japanese note-taking is not about being a good student. It's about being a good thinker. When your notes are simple, your thinking becomes sharp. When your thinking is sharp, learning feels effortless. Let me end with this. Hard work is loud. Smart systems are quiet. You don't need to suffer to succeed. You need to simplify. So next time you open a notebook, remember, don't write more. Write better. Your brain will thank you. Your time will thank you. And your future self will finally remember what you studied. And yes, you can finally stop rewriting the same notes 10 times and pretending it helps. Because now you know better.